Good morning, everyone. How are you? First of all, I'd like to say Happy Father's Day. I don't know if there are any fathers here. I know I'm not, but I don't know about Daryl, if he's a father or not. But anyway, we all had fathers, or do have fathers, present in the earth plane, but we all had fathers. Many of us have them on the other side of life. Uh, Yesterday would have been my dad's 91st birthday. So unfortunately, every year he got stuck with Father's Day and birthday at the same time. But he sort of enjoyed it too because he got double attention. Um, as a history lesson, Father's Day was first celebrated in a small church in West Virginia in 1908. It didn't become popular until World War II when there were so many husbands and fathers all around the world off to war. And people were remembering their husbands and fathers at that point. But it wasn't a legal holiday until 1972, whereas Mother's Day was much, much, much earlier. So it's very interesting that fathers didn't get their due until 1972 as a legal holiday. So all of us had fathers biologically, but not all of us had fathers who were there for us. But they did the best they could. In my generation especially, we had dads who taught us right from wrong, taught us morals, respect for others, taught us with words, but more importantly, with actions. My father lived what he said and spoke. He was a very religious man, very kind-hearted, and very loving, although not in a demonstrable way. He was not the touchy or hugging type or anything else like that. He really never said he loved you until his later years, when I think I changed and told him how much I loved him all the time and gave him hugs and stuff when I came back from Florida in 2000. So our history changed quite a bit once I moved back home. Was my dad perfect? No. He was gone a lot of the time. My dad was in the Navy for 27 years. Quite often he was out to sea for months at a time. My mother was left holding the burden. So in those cases, my mom was mother and father while he was gone. When he came home, my dad, again, took on the father's role. But again, a lot of my upbringing was brought about by my mother, more so than my father. And we have to remember, though, that there were no guided instructions for being a father. They just did the best they could. They often had to do it on the fly, just by the seat of their pants. The only thing they had to go by was what their father, how they raised them. And unfortunately, if they had a dysfunctional father, one of two things: either they were dysfunctional as well, they kept it going, or they overcompensated by, for example, if you had a father who was an alcoholic, you would teach all your kids, don't be an alcoholic, a teetotaler and all this stuff. And it's very, very strict in those cases. I was brought up very strictly. No playing cards, no dancing. Women weren't supposed to have wear pants or any of that kind of stuff. Very strict upbringing. But we made it through fine. And I have a lot of my morals and respect for others as a result of it. So no child has perfect parents. Again, they did the best they could with what little instruction they had to go by. And again, the dysfunctionality from both sides can come down through the generations, generation after generation after generation and after generation. And now it is our responsibility to change that by not passing on any more dysfunctional behavior. Those of us who are mothers or fathers, we know we can look back in our life for those things that dysfunctional in our parents' life. And we try not to repeat them or pass it along to the next generation. What we really must concentrate on is forgiveness and letting go of the past, living in the now, and not living in the future. Planning for the future is fine, but living in the now, that's the most important thing that we can do. Since my generation, things have really, really changed. For those of you who are younger than I am, I'm 67. So many kids now come from divorced parents. They have split homes. Father at one place, the father may see them on weekends, or if at all, or that. So many children now are not raised with the father figure. So these poor individuals don't have anyone to look up to. But what they have to do is go inside and figure out how they can be the best person they can be, regardless of what dictates the society places on them. So we really need to give thanks for all of our fathers, for who they were, what they did, even if they were single fathers, or the mothers who acted like fathers. We give them thanks on this day too, because they were part of our upbringing, part of our life essence. For those with fathers, grandfathers that are still living, please, please, please go out of your way to tell them that you love them, that you care for them. You will never regret it. Even if they don't respond how you wish they to respond, you're planting seeds that yes, they are loved, which quite often they didn't get from their generation. Because I think the generations as we go through are becoming more emotional, more responsive to others people's feelings. My dad was a very stoic individual. That's the way he was brought up, especially being in the military. Those of you who have your parents or grandparents are all on the other side, we remember that as spiritualists, we acknowledge they still exist and we can speak to them. Do so. Say, grandfather, I love you. I respect you. I thank you for all that you did for the family. And do that for both the grandfathers and your father as well, especially if they're in spirit. Say thank you. I know you did the best you could for what you had to do, the way you knew how to do it. Just, I love you, I love you, I love you. And just see them in your arms and give them a hug. Just go through the actions. Actually just, pretend they're there. And they are there. The power of the mind is such that as you bring them in, their spirit comes close to you and you can literally hug them. You may not see them, but they feel it. Believe me, they feel it. They love it. I found that they become more aware of us as they pass on to the other side of life. They become more forgiving. Like I said, my dad was very religious. This kind of stuff was the work of the devil, speaking to dead people. But as he progressed and got to know me better when I was at the church in Florida, he said, this church is love. That's all you do is talk about love all the time. So I can embrace that. I may not understand it or the speaking to dead people part, but I can love what you do because it brings you pleasure, it brings you love and light in your life. So quite often on the other side, they become much more aware of who we are and the pathway that we're going through. So always remember to communicate with them. They're there. They may not be always around you, but if you call them in, they immediately are aware of your presence. So give them love, spread the love to them. And if your mother's on the other side too, bring them in as a pair, bring them in as a couple. They are both responsible for your physical life. So love them as well. I want to close with, recently I heard a song on the internet, I Want to Live by John Denver. This made a huge, huge difference to me back in the 90s when I was really going through the dark night of the soul. I mean, I couldn't work. I was in a horrible physical shape, much worse than I am now. But it got, and there were many times at that point I was in a deep depression and I didn't want to live. I heard this song, and actually I bought the CD. I don't know where it is now, but I bought the CD and it had I Want to Live on it. But I'm just going to read a few things from the lyrics that really have a lot of meaning. I won't read the whole thing, it would take too long. We are standing all together, face to face, arm in arm. We are standing on the threshold of a dream. No more hunger, no more killing, no more wasting life away. It's simply idea, and I know its time has come. I want to live, I want to grow, I want to see, I want to know. I want to share what I can give. I want to be, I want to live. Can you see how those words, if you really read them and think about them, how important that is? Because we're all striving to increase our vibration, to bring us to a higher vibratory level where we can speak to our loved ones so much easier. The higher our vibrational level is, the easier it is for us to communicate with the other side and to receive communications from ascended masters, the angels, all those individuals who are on the other dimensionalities than we are here on the earth plane. As we raise our vibration, we bring about a peace and calmness, and really we desire to live. We were given this life as a means of experiencing all that we can, whether it be positive or negative. We're here for an experience. I want to make it a good experience. I choose to let go of all the negativity. I want to see everyone getting along together, especially in these times that we've had lately with the riots and killings and everything. I want everyone to live peacefully, arm in arm, face to face, living together as one. That's my dream for society and for the entire earth. We deserve it. We are of the light, not the dark. We have light and dark, yes. It is up to you to choose how you want to live. I live in lightness. I live in high vibration. I live in love. Thank you so much.